outside raisers to deal with. So those of you who know or who are in my group, I oversee most of the Western Michigan group as well as Oakland County. Oakland County, Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Rockford, Chicago, those East Lansing, MSU, and the independents in Michigan and Ohio. So if you're in one of those groups, I don't want to forget anybody. Also the Gimbals, and I always forget what your group name is, Linda. But it's way out there in Illinois, Moline, Illinois. So all of you are welcome to join our virtual trainings, and we're so glad to have you. We're going to talk today about biting, and is it normal? You might have, instead of a Labrador at home, you might have a Labrador or a baby shark. They get into the shark phase about 9 weeks old. So if you have a 9-week-old puppy or you haven't got your puppy yet, you are in for some biting. So why does your puppy bite? Everybody always says, and one of the things I hear quite frequently in the pet world is they'll say, well, my puppy is just teething. He's just teething. That's all he's doing is teething. Well, there's actually lots of reasons that a puppy would be bitey. So a lot of times, especially this guy right here, I mean, that is like puppy 101 chocolate guy is doing here on the side. A lot of times puppies will bite when they're tired or overstimulated. We can very easily overstimulate our puppies, and I'll tell you why. We really want to, and I know it's the funnest part about puppy raising and having a puppy is that we get to take these puppies out in the public. And right now, how fun is it? There's things going on that are interesting that we want to see. Maybe there's Christmas decorations and lights and things that we can do outside that are good socially distant activities that we can partake in. But that's very stimulating for a tiny baby puppy. I know someone had posted in our Facebook group, she said that she had went to the mall and she had a fairly small puppy. And what she said was, hey, I didn't walk around the whole mall. I sat by an entrance. I just did a couple of things. Then we went home. So it's very easy to have an overstimulated puppy at this age. Another reason that your puppy might be particularly bitey is for exploration. Puppies, that's how they view the world. They bite on it and grab it. Does it taste good? Does it smell good? What is it like? What kind of texture does it have? That's how they explore their environment. So what you're going to want to do is provide plenty of toys and rotate them. That's always a good, I was just telling someone that I actually have a stash of toys that I keep in my closet. And then when my puppy's particularly bitey, I can go get a brand new toy, even though it might just be the toys that I rotated out for the couple weeks that they're in that closet, and they may have forgotten about them. So try to keep a good amount of toys that you can rotate through so that your puppy has something new to chew on. Another reason that puppies will be very bitey is because, this is a big one in our house, is that it's attention seeking and fun. And we inadvertently reinforce that, just like jumping and other behaviors we don't like, because my kids especially, I have young boys, not so much anymore, they don't, but when they were littler, when we raised maybe our first and second puppy, when my youngest was 4 years old, it was hard because he would yell and squeal with delight when the puppies would grab onto his pant legs, and it just became the most fun game that there was. So inadvertently, he was reinforcing that behavior by making it a fun game. And we do this too. I notice that I will see people and they'll be petting their puppy will start to get mouthy with them. And because they're not biting down hard, they tend to not take their hands away quite as quickly as they would if the biting was a little harder. So here we've said it's okay to bite me or to mouth on me while you're doing it softly, but it's not okay when you're doing it harder. And I don't think the puppies have a really good idea of what the distinction is. So we have to just communicate clearly what's going on there. Maybe your puppy just has some needs that are not being met. Maybe he's hungry, he's tired, he's thirsty, he has to park. There may be, if we're thinking about our puppies, we need to think about, are we meeting those needs? Is every need that our puppy has being met? Usually it's that tired one. That's the one I want you to focus on. But again, might be something else. There might be another need this puppy has that makes him bite onto those pant legs. So as always, we redirect you back to our puppy raiser manual on page 73. And this is the big one, although those other things are normal. A puppy who routinely breaks the biting or tears your clothing is not normal. Please contact your puppy counselor or one of us, your puppy coordinator, either myself, VJ, Melissa, or Barry Lynn. And those things are not normal. Continual breaking the skin, inability to manage this behavior can become a larger problem. So if those things are happening, I want you to seek some help. But most puppy mouthing is fairly normal. I think that all of my fellow coordinators would agree with me is that you're definitely going to know the difference. You're going to feel like you have a good handle on what your puppy's normal activities are and whether or not they're sleepy. So that is really going to what's going to tell you. Melissa did a wonderful, wonderful virtual training on journaling. And so if you haven't got the idea already, that there are going to be certain times of the day when your puppy is that overstimulated and overtired, and you're going to know because that's going to be in your journal. And when you look back, you're going to say, you know what, we had just been at Costco all day doing some getting our hand sanitizer and our paper towels, and we came home and he was particularly bitey that day. If you journal, you're going to know. So that's why it's so important that we take a look at what the big picture of this is. I know it seems very annoying at the time that it's happening, but if we can jot it down, write it down, or maybe think about it. So here are some strategies that I put together of things that you can do to help you when your puppy is feeling bitey. You can see that puppy right there. He is going at those fingers. And what is the mates? Can somebody tell me in the chat? Maybe you guys can help me out. Take a look at the chat. What is that person there with the orange fingernails and that little fluffy dog? What are they doing wrong?
Nothing yet, Laura. Waiting.
What is this person up here in the, with, like I said, with the orange fingernails? What is she maybe doing that I probably wouldn't do?
So we've got putting hands near mouth, providing stimulation, hand by mouth.
Hand by mouth. You guys are on it. When your puppy is feeling bitey, we don't encourage it by putting your hands next to his mouth. That just seems like kind of that. I actually had someone, and I was helping someone with their puppy, and I said, okay, what do you do when your puppy starts biting you? And she says, I put my hands on his mouth and I say no bite. I said, well, first of all, your puppy doesn't speak English, so no bite doesn't have any meaning to him at all whatsoever. And then you're putting your fingers in his mouth and you're expecting him not to bite them. I think that's a pretty high expectation for a puppy of that age. So I want you to take your hands away, and I want you to kind of abandon that no bite as a phrase in your vocabulary. So that's going to be a do on my list. Abandon the no bite and take your hands away. Those are going to be two things I'm going to recommend. But also in the do category is snuggle and pet your puppy when it's relaxed or sleepy. And this one is so tough because I know that you guys, and I'm exactly the same way. I have a finite number of minutes, where we all have a finite number of hours in the day and minutes in the day when we can do training with our puppy or we can interact with our puppy. And they're little and they're cute and we want to hug them and we want to snuggle them. We were just saying that, we want a snow day to snuggle in with our pup. Your hands and are exciting, and they're close to the puppy's mouth and they're nearby, and when your puppy has less energy to bite, it reinforces the idea that getting petted is not an opportunity for nibbling. So if your puppy starts biting you and maybe he was laying down, maybe he was taking a nap, and you jumped in there and started getting him more aroused and encouraging that biting, then you're going to need to step away. So pet him and cuddle him when he's in the mood for cuddles, okay? It's like me, all my puppy development coordinators will tell you that I'm not a big hugger. So I kind of feel like a puppy sometimes, where I see the puppy and the person's just hanging on tight, giving them that big old pup hug, and that pup is just grabbing with teeth all over the place because they don't want that activity happening at the time. So really listen to your puppy's body language. Really get to know when are good times for petting and when are good times to just take your hands away. You always, always, always want to have toys handy so you can redirect that biting. I can't say that enough. First and foremost, the very first thing that you're going to try as soon as the puppy starts to be bitey, you're going to grab a toy and try to redirect and say, well, you know what? You can't chew on my hands, but I know if you want to chew, here's something that's appropriate for you to chew on. If you're sitting down, the puppy gets excited, you're going to stand up and just go away. That'd be number 2. When my puppy does all of those things, the very first thing I do is I give him a chance to say, hey, you know what? I still want to interact with you. Here's a toy. If he says, well, I still want to bite you. Here's the toy, but I still want to bite on you. I still want to bite your clothes. I want to try to go up at your face. That's a big no-no for me. I would get up and walk away. Okay, you're ending the game. You're walking away from that activity. You are going to reward good behavior, such as sitting a treat with a treat or another chance to play. If they settle down once you walk away and take that pause from your puppy, you're really going to want to take a pause from them. No looking, no talking, no eye contact. When you take that pause from them for maybe 3 to 5 seconds, just pause for a few minutes. See if your puppy can calm himself down and be able to be interacted with again. And then you can come back and that reinforce the idea that no biting leads to fun and games. You're going to keep your puppy entertained. So there's lots of things that you can do, lots of games that we've taught, and you can play low-key fetch. We're not saying that you can't at all toss toys on the ground. We certainly don't want you having them chase after tennis balls and get them highly aroused, but you can toss a treat on or a toy on the floor and have them retrieve it. You can play some hide and seek with your toys. Hide and seek recall is fantastic. Some kibble and food toys are great. So that's what I mean by keeping your puppy entertained. You're going to always keep that treat bag on you. That's why I put a picture of it on there, because you're going to keep them handy to reward good behavior. You're going to teach your puppy also, we go to that mat behavior. We did a session all about the mat behavior. If I would try to recreate that one and watch it, I'd probably cry because I turned in puppy number 9 and he's in all these videos. So I'm going to have to get another puppy here, you guys. And so you can use your mat and have a mat behavior. If maybe your puppy gets a little bit too bitey, you can have them go to their place, to their mat, and reward them when they stay in the spot. So you've got a little bit of some work you could be doing. And again, I mentioned this earlier, but keep track of the times of day when your puppy's more likely to be bitey. So I'm going to guess if you're a brand new raiser and you've got a puppy at home, he's probably bitey in the morning once and once again in the early evening, dinner time-ish, because that's pretty normal. The puppy wakes up, they have their potty, they eat breakfast, they have some playtime, and then they're up and raring to go. But what they don't realize is their body's telling them to take a nap. And they don't know that's what their body's telling them because they're not adults yet. They're babies. So when they're babies, they don't know how to just relax and take the edge off. Do use a crate or baby gates. So maybe you've taken a pause from your puppy and you've walked away from them and maybe they come right back at you immediately where they're grabbing the pant legs, tugging, grabbing onto everything. That would be take yourself away and use a barrier. Use some type of barrier that you can put your puppy behind the gate and say, okay, we're done here. Same thing with the crate. It is okay and it's acceptable to put your puppy in the crate. For those of you who are going to ask me later, they're going to say, but I don't want to use the crate as a punishment. That's okay. I still give my puppy a treat in there every time he goes in, maybe a yummy Kong while he's in there. I don't treat it as I'm not angry when I put him in there and I don't shove him into the crate. I offer him access to the crate. I will drop treats inside the crate and he goes in on his own and then he takes a nap. And usually it's within a few minutes, they're zonked out. And also, you don't have to worry about your furniture if that's what they choose to chew on. The puppy that we had recently for a couple of weeks, we were just kind of doing some puppy sitting. He kept chewing his back teeth, those back teeth back there on the corner of a stool that my husband made in 1992. And we're all very attached to this little stool because we all use it. We all carry it around our house in different ways in this little stool. So I had to make sure that I put that stool in a place he couldn't get it. So you're also going to be taking things away from your puppy so that, and putting them up. We have a bin full of shoes. So instead of like normal people who put their shoes next to the door that are ready to go out, they're maybe sitting there on a carpet, we have a plastic bin. And when you take your shoes off, you put your shoes inside the plastic bin. This is because I want to manage this behavior, right? Those things look great to chew on. They smell good. They smell great if you have teenage boys. That's probably the dog heaven. They stick their faces in those big, gigantic size 14 teenage boy shoes and, have a field day. So we put our shoes in a different area. And I know I said this one before too, but I'll reiterate. Every 2 or 3 days, rotate the toys your puppy can have access to. And then it kind of makes them so they're not bored. Like you've got the same old 2 Nylabones that are out all the time for him. But if you rotate them or make a new one, I don't know how many of you or maybe some of you longtime raisers know this one, but I will always take, I'm going to try and find one if I've got one here handy. Hang on. Here's one. Oddly enough, at my desk, I have lots of these things. But I might take this Nylabone and I might put it in the end of the Kong here. Like, oh, I can't. This one's a little hard. It's not fitting in there quite as. Oh, there we go. And then I've made a brand new toy. So you can take your Kongs and your things and make new toys out of them just by configuring them together. So if you haven't figured this about toys out yet, this is one of the things you can do. Let's see what we've got next. Do make sure your puppy gets regular naps. Who doesn't love a nap? I love naps. I would take a nap every day if I could. A tired puppy is more likely to bite and be bitey. They need lots of rest. They probably need more rest than what you think. And I know that everybody says a tired puppy is a good puppy. A tired puppy is not the same as an overstimulated, overworked puppy. If you think that your puppy is particularly bitey more often and you've done the things, you've tried to take them for a walk, you've tried to do those things, it's 100% possible that instead of being tired, they're overly stimulated and overtired. Maybe take a week and back off a little bit and allow them to sleep more and have more of a rest time. Prevent your puppy from having the opportunity to bite. If your puppy's wildly biting at your leash when you're out on a walk, straighten your arm and hold the puppy out away from you until they calm down. Being proactive and using positive reinforcement doesn't mean that we're being permissive and saying, it's okay, bite me, and I'll just ignore you while you do that. Nope, you want to prevent it. So if you need to put your puppy on a ground tether, and you need to make your leash a little shorter. I know when I had this baby puppy for a couple of days, every time I would take him out to park, instead of parking, he would bite at the leash. So pretty soon I would walk straight to the park area and I would just stand on the leash so that biting became a non-issue. He decided that it wasn't any fun if he only had a little short piece of leash to bite on. That wasn't fun. There was nothing to that. It never went anywhere. I'm far bigger than him, and it wasn't any fun for him to do, and he stopped doing it and would potty immediately. So there's lots of little ways that you can figure out to get your puppy to stop doing those things. And again, like I said, if he's kind of wildly biting at you, just straighten that arm out, hold him away from you so that he can't come at you and start to do that. When in doubt, this is troubleshooting. When in doubt, remove yourself from the situation. I can't say this enough, especially those of you with little ones, little kids. And this is the hardest concept for kids to get, is when the puppy starts biting. What I've told mine and what I tell small kids is that it's because the puppy plays with you Like he might play with some other puppies in his litter. He likes you. You're small. You remind him of his brothers and sisters, and he likes you the best. That usually puts the kids, you know, in a good spot instead of just saying the puppy hates me because he bites me all the time. That he likes you so much, he's treating you just like he would another puppy. And then that's when I tell them that then they need to remove themselves from the situation. Be prepared for your puppy's behavior. Plan ahead. That's why you have the treat pouch. You can carry it all the time because you can reward them when you're doing well. When they're doing well, make sure that you're giving them treats. You're telling them, good job. This play is going great. You're doing fantastic interacting with the kids. That's what giving them the food reinforcement does for them. It gives them that information. When you reinforce something, what happens? The likelihood that it's going to happen again is increased. When you fail to reward those good things, the likely that it's going to increase is now less. So what you want to do is make sure that the best interactions happens when your puppy is not bitey rather than the opposite. We tend to, and I know myself when I'm sitting here at my desk, I'm on my computer, I am talking to you guys, I'm doing something. That's when my puppy is likely to grab at these pant legs and start going to town chewing or chewing on my shoelaces. And I have to remember that for the 20 minutes before that, when he was laying down chewing nicely on his toy, I did absolutely nothing. So I want to make sure that you guys remember, and journaling again, we can always journal about this too, that we're reinforcing when they're doing well. Oh, that's an old one. I recycled this one, so I guess I don't need to play that slide. But I would love to hear from you. So do we have any questions? Like I said, mine are going to be short and sweet. That's what we have to say about biting. But if you've got some questions.
Laura, there's a question from Mary in the beginning, and she was asking for recommendations for toys.
Great. So I really, really love, I'm actually looking here for my chat. I don't know why it's not coming up on my, oh, here it is. All right. What my favorite things are, one of my favorite things and my favorite toys are antlers, because they're a little bit smelly. If you've ever smelled an antler, not split, whole, elk antlers are preferred, but you could certainly use deer antlers. And like I said, that would be one of my go-tos when my puppies are like that. But I also freeze my toys. And another thing that I do, a lot of you might say, my puppy's just not interested in that. They're just not interested in that Nylabone. Take that Nylabone. Yep, somebody says puppy not showing interest in toys. I always take mine and I rough them up on the concrete, those really smooth Nylabones. I rough them up on the concrete because puppies tend to like what I call ABC toys, already been chewed. So I rough up those Nylabones good on the concrete. I also will put my toys in the dog food bag for a couple days just to get them smelling like food. That might encourage your puppy to really chew on those particular things. Let's see, we've got putting hands, oh, that was during the thing. I'm going down here. Y-shaped Nylabone. Yep, it's one of my favorites. Mark says it's hard to find, but it is a really good one. Trudy says, my candy dishes have become treat bowls. That's great, Trudy. That's absolutely perfect. We want you to have stations. I have stations all around my house. I also trade, I trade things for treats. So if my puppy particularly grabs something they're not supposed to have, maybe, I trade them. I always trade. And it leads to a puppy that instead of running away, you know, grabbing something and hightailing it behind the sofa, now my dogs are likely to bring me things. So that's a much better thing than what we would have them do by chewing it up. Yep, call a timeout. Call it a timeout. That's great, Cheryl. Yep, timeouts are that's my second go-to. Remember what my first go-to was? First go-to was give them a toy and redirect. If that's not possible, timeout. Yep, timeout. Small wobbler. Love the wobbler toy. I use that. I have one here, I think. Hang on. Yep, I do. What don't I have in this office would be a good one. This is a wobbler toy. You can see it's a bigger, it looks like a Kong, but it's bigger. It's got this little hole. Inside of it, it wobbles back and forth like this. Inside of it, you can put food in this, and it comes out this little hole. This is absolutely perfect. I use this all the time. So how do you feel about pushing in rather than pulling fingers away? Phyllis, I don't love that idea. I know a lot of people will say I push my fingers down or I make it feel bad. I don't want my dog to ever feel that way about my fingers because they're going to be used for other things like petting, touching. I might want to pick up the edge of their teeth like that, or their chins or their lips. I don't want my dog to ever feel bad about my fingers coming towards them. And I know that lots of people do that, but that would be not my preference. I would, instead of pulling those fingers away, I might try to redirect them the best that I can while staying silent and just moving in a very direct way. Amanda says, puppy is not showing interest in toys. Like I said, try putting it in the dog food bag, try roughing it up a little bit, try rubbing a little bit of peanut butter on those toys. You definitely can do that. Oh, Barry Lynn just told me from the other desk, she said coconut oil. I got to agree with that. I've heard about that as well. Puppies seem to chew on my CC dog. Well, I don't recommend that everybody get a second dog. But that's a great one. My dogs do too. My puppies, I find that puppies do less mouthing on me when they have a playmate like another dog. I do find that. What do you do if your puppy is jumping and biting? Same thing, Janet. You want to take your puppy, you want to take yourself away from that situation. Puppies who jump up as well, they're learning how, or they're learning about their world. Their world stops becoming right there on the ground and it starts becoming vertical. They start to go, oh, there's things up there. I want to try to get to them. So we're going to deliver treats very low to the ground, and always be doing things close to the ground and reinforcing that 4 feet on the ground, as well as removing ourselves when biting is happening. Usually biting and jumping together are part of that overstimulated, overtired puppy. Deb DeLee, oh, she says, if anybody needs antlers, Deb DeLee's the one to contact everyone. She has been great about this, and she's an avid hunter, and I know that she gets the antlers for us. So I've got another Michigan Antler Art. That's true. Terry gives a discount. Trudy's absolutely correct. Here's another one. What word is preferred to direct the puppy out the door to go out to park? If we use park inside the house, the puppy goes immediately. That's really your preference. I tend to not even say, do you want to go outside? Because I find that asking my puppy that question, that doesn't mean I'm always going to get the response that I want, but I do tend to just tell them, let's go. Because let's go could be anything. I just want them to come with me. So that would be my preference there. And going down, let's see some more. My 12-week-old loves to chew on my 6-year-old lab's ears. That is completely normal. I hate to say that, but especially if the other dog doesn't correct. If you see it and you're unhappy with it, or it seems to become more of an obsessive problem, you certainly could redirect your puppy away. You also could take your 6-year-old, and maybe that's a time when they both have a great time out to each other. But typically I try to let my dogs as much and as often as possible work those things out. It is very normal. Mary Hannah says this is the first pup I've raised without a pet dog. Yeah, I bet. I myself am the same way. When I have a dog that corrects a puppy, it makes my job a little bit easier. So Amanda says many people on the Facebook group were encouraging freezing carrots or green beans. You could do that, although we try to avoid some people food. You want to make sure that anytime that you give any people food at all whatsoever, that you're really taking into account the calorie option. And I don't like to use baby carrots, especially a carrot frozen could be ingested and can be more of a choking hazard. I guess that's the mom in me. Much like I wouldn't give my toddler baby a frozen baby carrot, I wouldn't give it to my puppy either. I tend to get things that are bigger. Ice cubes would be okay. That would be, you could freeze some toys in ice. That's always a good one to try. That's why I don't really care for the carrots. I'm thinking about a choking hazard. Lynn says, what about tethering when indoors? You can certainly do that. The crate tethering, or a baby gated off area. Certainly you could do one of those things either. A guest says, I've heard of people yelping when a puppy bites and acting like the mom. Here is my take on this, is that we could never yelp in a tone and in a way that another dog does. It might interrupt the behavior because they've not heard that before. So going, coming from a person might sound funny to them, and it might interrupt the behavior, but it doesn't really give the puppy any information about what they should be doing. I tend to not do things to mimic what other dogs do because I'm not a dog, I'm a person. And so I try very much to think that I really want my puppy, instead of yelping, I would rather redirect them to a toy. I don't think that it's going to make them bite. And in truth, when you watch dogs interact and a puppy yelps, it might interrupt that other puppy for like a second. And then they're like, okay, well, now I know that I can't bite down that hard on you. I don't want my puppy biting on me at all. So that's when I would choose the remove myself option. Let's see. It looks like we don't have any, but I've got something else in my little box of goodies here. If you guys knew how many toys are in this office space, you would laugh. There's literally dozens. All right, so this thing, is this a yay or nay? Tell me in the chat, is this an appropriate toy for a puppy who's chewing on you to redirect? Anybody? Everybody says no. Yay! We don't use soft toys unless it is directed by someone in puppy development. And that is because what happens when we use soft toys, and that you never know what could be ingested. And I'm sure that if we had a session, I'm sure the vets are going to be on with us at some point. If we had a session with Dr. Wilson or Dr. Smith, they would tell you horror stories of things they found in puppies. And those toys are so easily chewed up that stuffing can get in there, cause an impaction. And anytime, the reason, I'm just going to give you kind of, guys, the reason behind this. We're not doing it because we don't want you to do things with your puppy or we don't want you to have success. Anytime you have to open a dog up, so any kind of surgery at all whatsoever, diminishes their chances of becoming a guide dog. So I know of personally a couple dogs who have had impactions that they've been opened up more than once. And as soon as it happens that second time, the third time, we may have to career change that dog because it's not healthy enough then to go on. It's already had several abdominal surgeries. So you really want to think about everything that we do, and everything that we do with our puppies, we have to look at the end result. I don't want my puppies ever thinking that the client who has a Beanie Baby collection is a free-for-all. And I'm sure that you guys don't either. So I always think, what is the end result here? I want my puppy chewing on things that are going to be good for his teeth. Nylabones are great. Antlers are great. Westpaw toys are great. Benabones, I know I put in the Facebook group, in the chat portion of the Facebook group, I posted a link. There was some buy one, get one free Benabones. Those things are, and Kongs. The Kong is literally my go-to toy all the time. And I'm embarrassed to say I have 14 Kongs frozen in my freezer almost at all times. I always keep frozen Kongs. And if you can't, like say you only have one Kong, you know what, guys? Make an ice cube tray, go to the dollar store, get an ice cube tray that is specific for dogs. I know my husband hates it when I use any people things for the dogs. And I will put little bits of things into I'll put little bits of things into an ice cube tray. I might freeze some chicken broth over top of some little pieces of kibble or little good nummies, and then I shove that inside the Kong. So even if you've only got 1 or 2 Kongs, so you can't keep them frozen all the time, grab one of those ice cubes, put it in the Kong, and you're good to go. So you can do that as well. I know the Kong company also sells a Kong-shaped ice cube tray. And I know that you've all seen, I did have a seminar on stuffing your Kongs, filling them in food toys. So feel free to use those when necessary. Any other questions? I enjoyed having you here for biting today, but feel free to unmute if you've got a question. Did I hear someone earlier tried to unmute their microphone?
Laura, this is Kathy Sellers.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi, Laura. I have a suggestion.
Sure.
We have so many videos that are wonderful. And I was thinking if we created different playlists so that the whole playlist would be appropriate for someone. So for example, these are all really great videos for first time raisers, or these are all about grooming, so that it would be easier sometimes for us to find them. These are all about behavior issues. These are about our skills, our obedience skills.
Yeah.
So that was just an idea I had.
Thank you, Kathy. We've actually kind of talked about doing that. We've been, Zach is kind of our YouTube guru because he's such a young, technologically savvy guy. We all laugh about it, but it's true. He's a list of the videos. We can definitely tell him maybe we make up some type of playlist. I think that's a wonderful idea, Kathy. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Laura.
We welcome ideas. We love ideas because, we have to come up with, like, this was a recycled one, so it was easy for me to do this one today. But the other thing that was tough was that I thought, I want to make sure I have even extra things. In fact, I think if you saw this one on take 1 of biting, it wasn't nearly as good because I didn't have as many of my tools that I have hanging around here in my office for that one probably. So I actually probably was able to include a few more goodies in here for you. So I'm glad I was able to have take 2 at it. Sometimes you're better that second time around. That's why we should all raise a second puppy, because you're usually better second time around with your puppies as well. That's actually a proven fact. We can say that it's an absolute fact. Those of you who are really kind of thinking, how am I ever going to do this again? This is what happens. Your puppy is bitey and new and they are crazy and you're like, I'm never going to get through this. And then you will be like me, like, I'm even thinking about it now, and I am I'm getting weepy-eyed even just thinking about it. And then by the time my puppy went back, he was near perfect. I couldn't have asked for a happier, better dog. So you get over the stages and phases. And yes, Lynn, there is a video on Go to Mat, or there should be in our video playlist. So yep, we've got that for you. All right, I will see you guys. I got to think about what I'm going to do. I can't do take 2. I might do next time. If you have girl dogs, give me the thumbs up, because I think I may do Girl Dogs 101. And Barry Lynn says she'll tag team and help me. So maybe next time we'll do girls. Bye-bye, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.